You put $1 into the house, we want you to get $2 back. Because everything's an investment, so you've got time, money, and you've got risk that you're putting up with those dollars. We want to make sure you get two back. And if that's not going to be the case, then we don't want you to do it. We're the Gillen Group. Put your home in the hands of experts. Hey, I'm Ryan Gillen, team leader of the Gillen Group. I'm here with Ryan Bevins. He's one of the agents on our team. Introduce yourself, Ryan.
So yeah, I'm Ryan Bevins. I've been in the industry for going on about 2.5 years now. I grew up in Arcanum, Ohio, so just a little bit up north. I was an account rep before this, so used to servicing clients, and it really just interested me getting in the business. So, client needs and taking care of people is definitely what I'm all about.
Great, man. Well, glad for you to sit down and have a conversation with me today. Topic is how to get your home ready and what do you need to do. I think people kind of take it a little bit too far sometimes, and we're just going to go over some quick tips on what people can do to get their home ready. We're obviously in one of the best sellers market ever in the history of Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus. So Ryan, what's one of the first things that you see when you walk into a home that people need to do?
Yeah, so one of the first things is really just you've decided to sell your house. It is a seller's market, but you still need to prep it. Right? So it still needs to show well. So one of the first things is really before you even step into the house, it's making the house look good from the curb. So curb appeal. So this is before your pictures are done. It's really just the preparation stage to list. So one thing that I really recommend is getting some landscaping, prepping the outside, because that's the first thing that people are going to see whenever they approach the house.
Cost-wise, it's probably your most least expensive thing with the highest return on your investment is landscaping, get everything. And honestly, you don't even need to spend anything. This is more sweat equity.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can make one phone call and get a landscaping crew out there and do X, Y, and Z to the property. Yeah, that's no problem whatsoever. But I think a big thing is people to understand that trimming,
absolutely,
edging the beds, new mulch on the property when you pull up goes a very, very, very long way. Shoot, you can see it in our own office. We took on those big bushes and just put some smaller landscaping in and some mulch, and it instantly transformed the property. People think we did this huge renovation, but realistically, we didn't put that much money into it.
Right.
So.
Yard maintenance. I mean, keep up on all of these things while you're preparing to list and through the listing, because people are going to recognize, does this owner care about the property? Have they taken care of it? It is a reflection on you. So they're going to see if the property was maintained from the outside, and they're going to also then think that it's maintained from the inside.
That's a great point. Honestly, we talk about that all the time. Definitely with buying homes, like sight unseen, we might go, well, it's taken care of on the outside. Like it's probably taken care of on the inside. That's a great point. When people are walking up to the house, it's really interesting as agents when we show buyers, maybe they'll be ahead of us a little bit, and they're walking up to the front door and they're looking up, they're looking at the siding, they're looking at maybe it's wood siding, does it need fresh paint on it or whatever it may be, but having a good exterior really sets the tone for a good showing.
Absolutely.
And what they're going to expect going into that house. So to me, I think the exterior is more important than the interior, because people are usually just looking at floor plans, making sure that house works for them size-wise. But on the exterior, you're capturing that imagination that they could live in this house in the future. Right.
And two, this, like I said, this is the prep stage, so this is before pictures. But one of your first picture on the MLS in a listing is going to be the front of the home. Yeah. So that is going to capture people's attention and draw them in to your house. So it's even before we even step in the front door that we need to prep the outside of the house before.
Do you watch Ted Lasso?
I've seen clips.
Okay, so you know how people talk about be a goldfish, all that kind of stuff. Well, I believe that everybody is already a goldfish, 7-second attention spans.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So into my mind, I'm thinking, okay, how can we capture people when they go and look online? We have about 7 seconds, and that's usually 3 to 4 pictures to capture their imagination on the home. Well, 7 seconds, 4 pictures. Those first 4 pictures better be great.
Absolutely.
They better be great for them to capture that person's imagination. So we really, really harp on the fact that we need to get everything squared away, those first couple pictures, and that starts from the exterior.
No, absolutely. So that would be my first go-to is work on the outside of the home, make sure that that's prepped, make sure that that's ready to go. Now, once we're inside the house, there's a few things that can be done, but one thing is that I've had people get storage units to basically clear some space in the house. People don't want to be kind of consumed by your things, and it's not a slight or it's not a diss. They want to picture themselves in the home. Living in the home.
And we're not saying get rid of every picture and take down the artwork and like some people go a little bit too far with it. We're just saying make your property feel as big as possible.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know that some agents will use the word declutter.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a term that I use personally, because some people have like a negative stigma like, oh, my stuff or my things are clutter.
Yeah.
So I always advise people to simplify. So simplify all of your things. If you have some things on counters, if you have a bunch of pictures, no need to take them all down. You still live there. You want to represent yourself.
I think the biggest point there is people understand that you still live in the house.
Yes. Yeah.
And so on your countertops, you don't have to get rid of everything. Just get rid of a lot of it. You know what I mean? But like people understand that there's still things that you need to have out for your morning to get ready to go to work. Like people understand that. So now getting prepped for putting the home on the market. I think one thing I see all the time is I go in and talk to people and they say, this, and this is wrong with my house. And I start laughing because you're ultra critical on your own home. Right. Like on my personal home, in the bedroom, the first corner, there's like paint chip down this edge, and no one's ever gonna notice that. But I notice it almost every time I walk by, and it drives me crazy, and I need to go home and take care of that. Right. But my point is, like, I'm ultra critical on my own property because I spend the most time there.
Yes.
So people become ultra critical on their own property. I went on a listing appointment the other day. Lady wanted to like completely remodel her kitchen. Cabinets were really nice. I told her to change the hardware out and polish them up a little bit, get them nice and shiny, and it'd be great. You don't need to do a full kitchen remodel, but she just didn't like the kitchen personally.
Right.
She didn't need to spend the money on it. So there's little things that you can do, like changing a couple light fixtures out, changing the hardware on cabinets. We don't need to do full remodels in the kitchens. We don't need to do full remodels in the bathrooms. Really kind of putting too much money into it. Our big concept here at the Gillen Group, we talk about this all the time, is if you put $1 into the house, we want you to get $2 back. Because everything's an investment, so you've got time, money, and you've got risk that you're putting up with those dollars. We want to make sure you get $2 back. And if that's not going to be the case, then we don't want you to do it.
Right. And too, to that point, I mean, not necessarily just even spending a ton of money. Do the same treatment inside that you just did outside. So you put a lot of sweat into landscaping, cleaning everything up. Clean. Just make sure everything's clean. And that's just effort. That's just your time.
Yeah, so we're not telling you have to put a ton of money into the place, but I think the sense of smell is like very important. Like people walk into the home, how many times I look at people and they're like, like you almost just kind of feel, it just feels fresh. It feels like it's nice. Man, you walk into a house that hits you in the face with a fresh, wet dog smell.
Oh, yeah.
It's brutal. So, and if you have a question, does my house have an odor? Bring one of your best friends over, sit them down and say, I won't get mad at you. Give me an honest opinion on what my house smells like. And they'll tell you.
And people, it's natural. You become nose blind to
100%.
Your home. So having someone from the outside come in, and if you do have a pet, if you have a cat, if you have a dog, you probably don't notice anymore. I mean, that's okay. That's completely normal. So having someone come in and just give you an honest opinion, there's nothing wrong with that, because you're going to have people come in from the outside that are going to pick up on those things. Yeah. So just cleaning the carpets, having those sorts of things.
Constantly that just says smells like
X.
Whatever. And that's something that we can walk through the home, or you can walk through it yourself and say, hey, I think X, Y, and Z are causing these smells. You know what I mean? To stick when the dog's not around, or the cat's not around, or whatever animal it may be, and we can hide that as much as possible. So I think really like us looking back on when someone's going to get their home ready, I really feel like step back, like take a step back. Look at the exterior and say, what can I do for the least amount of money to make when people pull up, they go, yep, this is it. When they walk into the front door, through the front door. First impression. You never walk through your own front door. Like I always tell people, like when we go on a showing, this is probably the last time you're going to walk through this front door, even if you buy the house. So, but taking a look at what does it feel like walking through this front door? What does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? All that kind of stuff. And then also not being too critical on your own house. And let's do the small things instead of the big things, because that's what really is the highest return on your investment.
Yeah. And going back to the front door, I had a client. She had a lot of antiques and things in her entryway, and it really cramped the space. And so we went through the process of simplifying her entryway to maximize the space, and just, hey, does this table really need to be here? Because we want it to feel as open as possible for those people to get that initial first impression. You want to make it feel open. You want to make it feel big, just like you said a little bit ago. So first impressions really do matter, whether it's the outside landscaping, whether it's walking in the front door and that entryway feel, the smell, the cleanliness of the property, because once again, the cleanliness of the property just goes back to a reflection of how much you've taken care of it.
And all we're asking people to do is spend the least amount of money to get the highest return. Because that's overall the reason we make these videos, the reason we do our job is you have an asset and we want you to get the most money for that asset. At the end of the day, we want to say, oh, I use the Gillen group, I use Ryan Bevins, I used Ryan Gillen, and they got the most money for our house. There's no way anybody else would get more for it. And you can return and go and spend more money on the next house, or use that money in another way in your life. And so that's always our goal. But to go out there and spend a ton of money on your property to not see the return would really defeat the purpose of our mission, our goal. So if you ever have any questions whatsoever when it comes to listing your home, getting things ready, even if you say, hey, I'm not listing it for 8 to 12 months, let's have that conversation. Let's go over this.
Prep. If you have time, then you can put it to work. So prep is very important to maximize your return on your home.
Well, I really appreciate you guys looking in for this. So we sound like a long firm, but for Ryan and Ryan, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you ever have any questions whatsoever. We're the Gillen Group. Put your home in the hands of experts.